the Toronto Raptors are 1-3. Was this expected? Is this a work in progress? How do we define this, Doug?
It was expected to be a work in progress, but it wasn't expected to be this bad. This has been a really bad start to the season. They gave away the game in Chicago. They basically gave away the game Monday night against Portland here in Toronto. They should have a better record, and it's been a disappointing start. I think they thought they would be a little bit slow out of the gate. They're getting used to new stuff, but this has been not a very good opening week to the season.
I can go, John. The thing with the Raptors, Doug, is I think everybody thought, it's going to take a little bit of time just to sort of figure out what this group is. But the issue for me, and that this is really challenging from the front office, is, you still have the larger overall issue of two timelines, the Scotty Barnes timeline and the Pascal Siakam timeline, and OG Anunoby sort of in the middle of that timeline. So at what point of the season, in your opinion, does the front office sort of have to make a decision like, all right, this group, it's just almost like last year. We'll let them have a shot at making the playoffs and we'll see what happens. Or conversely, that's it. It's finally now time to blow it up. We're going to trade our assets. We're going to go into the tank for a little bit. And hopefully in 2 years, we'll come out. I know it's a hard question for you to ask, but like, to me, I feel like 35 games in, maybe 30 games in, like you should know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think the first of the calendar year, like January 1, if they're scuffling and they're not looking like they're going to be any threat to anything, then you got a month to figure out where you're going to trade these guys. And it might take that long to find the right deal. And the February 9th or 12th deadline, whatever the date is this year, that's going to be an inflection point. But I Richard, I think 35, 40 games, but I think the start of the calendar year will give Masai the month of January, Masai and Bobby, the month of January to figure out what they can get and what they need to do and want to do. And I don't know what we're going to be like at that point, because I don't think there's a lot of systemic issues with this team that I'm not sure can be fixed.
Can you be more specific on issues?
Yeah, I don't think the offense is good at all. I think they're a little bit confused by. I don't think Siakam and Barnes particularly work well together in the way they have played. I know they've been trying this whole new 0.5, move the ball, cut around, cut here and there, slash, get to the rim, get in the paint, kick it out. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked, and it's only been 4 games, and I'll give them credit. You give them some time, but right now it looks ugly. Their half court offense is operating at historically bad levels, like 75 points per 100 possession, like just awful. Can that get fixed? I think so, but it's going to take a lot more work than they thought. I think they thought that they would have guys just flying around on offense and cutting diagonally and going to the corner and getting Dennis Schroeder in the paint and kicking it out to shooters. That's not happening. They play too slow in the half court, and they got to address that. And I know Darko hammers it home every day, but I think he's got to get a little bit sterner. He's got to start like demanding stuff, because it just in 4 games it's been at times it's unwatchable, and that's troubling.
Well, the one of the things that I wonder about is that there are enough new players on this roster that don't have any preconceived notions, and then there's a bunch of guys who have been here too long or long enough to think that that's the way they play the game. Is this a different? Can you see a difference in attitude between the new guys and the guys that have been here a while, Doug?
Not really, because really the only new guy who plays is Schroeder. And Grady Dick is starting to play 23, 24 minutes a night, which is, I think, important. A guy like Jalen McDaniels plays 6 or 7 minutes. He doesn't really count. But, so it's not a ton of new guys. That's the thing. It's like the core is the core. It's Barnes, Anunoby, Siakam, Pirtle, Trent, Boucher, Achua. Like, those guys have been here 2-3 years. So they got to – so this thought that this was a brand new team, it's not a brand new team. It's a brand new coaching staff, but it's not a brand new team by any stretch of the imagination.
So, Doug, I've watched each game so far, and there's been moments during each game where I'm like, all right, you could sort of see it. Like, you sort of, you get a sense of, like, what this team could be at its best. And then other times, especially like even like their last game, just like defense just sort of like went to sleep. I mean, too many easy baskets and stuff. So here's sort of what I get to, because I'm, as you know, I love watching basketball. Raptors are interesting to me. Nick Nurse, as you know, ran into the problem where at a certain point he stopped trusting, essentially felt like everybody except 6 guys. He ran those guys into the ground, and it doesn't, there was no solution. Darko says he's going to play people like, he's going to play like a second group for a long time. So I guess I have 2 things to ask you. We'll start here. First, do you believe him? Do you think he is committed, even in the struggles, to go as deep as a bench as he's gone so far?
Yeah, I think he's going to play 10 guys a night, 9 primarily, and the 10th guy will play 7 or 8 minutes as a fill-in, a couple minutes each half. But yeah, I do think he's committed to that. I think he should be, because like you said, Richard, Nick killed those guys last 2 years. And I think Darko has the blessings of management to do that. And, obviously Mazai and Bobby want to win, and they want to but they want to see players develop and have a chance to play, to find out what they got. Like, I've been saying for months, we don't know after 3 years whether Malachi Flynn's an NBA player.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think maybe he isn't, but last night he wasn't awful. He had 6 points, couple of assists, 8 up 15 or 18 minutes. That's all he needs to do. But the Chicago game, he was awful. So, but I think you got to give those guys, him, McDaniels, Dick, you got to give them some leash, and you got to give them 10 or 15 games. And I think Darko's committed to it. And I think he's got the blessing of management to be committed to it.
It's interesting. It's good for the bench. Yeah, I have to be honest. I'm at the point where now I think you have to upgrade in the Malachi Flynn position.
Yeah.
I'm sort of past. I wish him well. Maybe better system or different system will work for him, but I don't see it here. The other thing, and this is probably to me more interesting, and we have now seen this in multiple games. If it were me, and again, I'm just an idiot from New York, so what the heck, I don't really know anything. But if it were me, I would sort of designate Scotty Barnes as my closer. And I would live this entire season with him. Obviously, there are going to be times he's going to be stopped. Their defense is going to be there and you're going to lose. But I would rather lose with Scotty Barnes sort of trying to become the alpha than like a melange of, okay, tonight Pascal gets the last shot. Defense breaks down and it's a last shot by OG or Trent. Do you think at a certain point they will designate somebody to sort of be the person who they rely on for the tough shots? In the way, obviously, every great team, the one thing that separates the Raptors from every great team, and some of it is obviously they don't have the alpha, is if it's Golden State, you know who's getting the last shot, right? If it's generally speaking the Suns, it's probably between Durant and Devin Booker. If it's the Bucks, you know what I'm saying? Like the Raptors every night, I don't know who should get the last shot down 10 seconds left.
Yeah, I think they gotta. That might be Barnes' job, because I think he'll be here longer than Siakam, and you want to groom him and teach him how to do that. He's got to accept that. Last night it was a 1-point game. He had the ball on a baseline on midway to the corner, and he tried to make this crazy pass to Pirtle and threw it in the first row of seats. That's the play he's got to take the ball to the basket and either get fouled or make a shot. And he didn't. And I think he's got to learn that it's okay to do that, and it's okay to do that and fail. Now, I don't know how well he would handle that job. I think his turnover to assist ratio is like 1-to-1, which is awful. But you got to give him a chance to do that. And maybe that's the way they go. But the 2 close games they've been in, the Chicago game and last night, it was a 1-point game with 3 minutes to go. And OG missed a corner 3. Scotty threw the ball in the seats. They got 2 baskets, but they gave up 2 offensive rebounds for easy baskets for Brogdon. Those kind of details aren't closer related; they're team related. Like, and they got to guard better. They got to secure possessions better when the other team misses, and that's just playing basketball. That's not actually coaching. That's just getting the players to play better. And you got to hope they can, because they haven't.
I tell you what, that first half last night, I was waiting for the Raptors to blow them out. I mean, Portland couldn't shoot. Portland couldn't do very much of anything, particularly in the first. I was waiting for the red tide, and it just didn't happen.
they with 3 for 29 from 3-point range. It was like the second worst shooting percentage for a Raptor team ever in a game. That, and to their credit, the other night against Philadelphia, they made their first 8. Last night they didn't make. I don't think they made 8 since in like 2 games. But they don't. I don't think they got the skill and the talent and the experience to blow teams out. And Portland hung around because they got a bunch of young kids just fly around and they made a bunch of shots.
Right.
And they're total. I talked to Chauncey Billups, who's, I've known him forever. Before the game, I go, "How do you like your team?" He goes, "I'm going to love my kids when they actually grow up." And you can see it. There's some intriguing young players on that team, and they don't know what they don't know. They're just running around taking shots. And
they looked like they were having fun last night.
And the Raptors should have buried them because they had a chance to, but the Raptors should have. Raptors were up 17 with 4 minutes to go in Chicago and didn't bury them.